one little cell that I can look at.
So, as far as like our review goes, which one are we
looking at?
Yeah.
It's the first one. Okay, it says tomato, but we're looking at bell pepper instead.
Is it going to be the same with the structures and stuff like that, though?
Yep.
Like we're going to still leave it in the same structures?
Yep, we're just changing the fruit.
Okay.
That's all we're doing. All right, so look, guys. We're looking at a layer of tissue. Parenchyma. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna try to outline maybe a cell. It's really kind of hard to see where a cell is, but you can kind of see that maybe like right in here is kind of one cell, but you can see here that I'm overlapping it with another cell, right? And there may be another overlap of another cell right in here.
Bless you.
Another cell might be right around in here. Okay? So I want you just to kind of understand what you're seeing is an overlapping, multiple layers of cells here because of the way that we cut it and the way that we kind of smushed it down onto the slide. So if I take one of these cells, and let's just take this little guy over here on the side, you should be able to see a couple of things. First thing, the outer boundary of a plant cell, first of all, is called the cell wall. So now we're looking at plants, so we have to take into consideration that cell wall now. The outer boundary is the cell wall. All of the material inside of the cell is simply going to just be cytoplasm. Okay? Now on the list, it does say nucleus, but I'm not staining this with anything. We're just going to we're going to see nuclei in a minute. So you don't have to, you're not responsible for the nucleus on this one, okay? So you can cross that off. But I do want you to notice that in the slide, you see all of these red dots, correct? Right? So in your slide, you should see red dots. I've got little red, ovals, kind of, all scattered around here. All right? Those red dots are pigment molecules. Is all they are. They are what is giving the bell pepper its color. All right? So this whole tissue that we're looking at here, everything that we see here in this field of view, let's kind of erase these little guys here. So everything that you see in this field of view, okay, so here's just one little cell of that bunch, okay. The entire tissue that you're looking at is called parenchyma. So what you're looking at is you're looking at a tissue called parenchyma. It is a storage tissue.
So that'd be like the whole thing?
Everything that you see in this field of view is parenchyma.
So,
Parenchyma is a whole bunch of loosely packed cells that are pretty big, and so they're large, and they store something. In this case, the parenchyma cells are storing pigment molecules. They could store sugars. They could be storing starch. They could be storing any number of things, depending upon where the tissue is located. Okay?
By a tissue?
This is the whole thing is a tissue. Yes.
for the test, do we need to know it as parenchyma?
You need to know that if I ask you and put this slide up on the test and ask you what kind of tissue it is, you should be able to identify it as parenchyma tissue and tell me that it is a storage tissue. And be able to label these three things. Okay? Plants have tissues, just like we do. So you could think of this, as our skin is multiple layers, right? Well, parenchyma is a type of tissue in a plant that's also multiple layers. That's all it is. It's just multiple layers of tissue. In this case, the parenchyma tissue happens to store pigment molecules. And this would be, tomato is what we usually use. Tomatoes get mushy and get kind of gross. There's a lot more pigment in the red bell pepper cells, so we switched. But you would see this is what's going to, this kind of tissue, phrase it correctly, this kind of tissue is where you're going to see the color in things of plants. So you would see parenchyma tissue in flowers. That would give the flowers all of their colors. You would see parenchyma tissue in all of the different fruits that give them the colors, the blues and blueberries, the oranges and the yellows and the reds. That's all due to pigment molecules that are stored in parenchyma tissue. Okay? So we need to think about plants as we do about animals. Plants are made up of cells. Those cells are going to come together and form layers that are going to be tissues. And we're looking at tissues today. Starting Thursday in lab, you're going to start looking at organs. We put a bunch of tissues together, we make an organ, correct? We may not think about organs in plants, but the roots, the stems, the leaves, the flowers, and the fruits of a plant, they are organs. Okay? Just like our stomach is an organ. Okay? They are, by a definition, the true definition, they are an organ. They are a collection of tissues that work together to perform a specific function. Okay? This is just one tissue. All right? The next one we want to look at is we want to look at the banana. Banana is also a parenchyma tissue. It's a storage tissue, but we're going to store something else in bananas. So, for the banana, I want you to take a piece of the actual banana, the meat, not the peel of the banana, but the meat of the banana, the part you would eat. And I want you to put it on a slide and add a drop of iodine this time. So,
get it.
Banana. Just take a little smear of banana, put it on the knife, put it on the knife. Take a smear of the banana on the knife. Add a drop of iodine. Susanna, can I have your iodine?
Yeah.
And then, banana smushes really easy. So just give it a good smush.
There you go. Thank you. Oh, that was really good. There's stuff moving in it. I need those a lot.
I think it's just...
Very